Hey everybody. So, I don't even know where to start. Obviously, it's been quite a while since my last video, and I am very sorry for that. I really do mean it when I say I'd like to get to consistently posting, but sometimes life doesn't work that way. And, I had a whole page scripted out of how I was going to do this video and what it was like at Kindred and all of that. But then I decided I don't really want to relive that too much. So I'm going to go more with what I last wrote in my journal, and we'll go from there. So when I write in my journal, I talk to my journal like I'm talking to a person. So it'll sound like that. But obviously, I went to Kindred. And when I was in Kindred, the first week or so, I was just honestly too depressed to write. I cried myself to sleep the whole first week there. I was miserable the whole time. But that first week was really hard. And then even after, because I was so unhappy, I just didn't have the motivation to write a script or film a video with an update. I pretty much just went through the motions day by day. It was just going by. And of course, when I did have my clinic appointment coming back here, I tried to put on you know, at least I was better enough to not have to be in this hospital anymore. But I think some of my doctors mistook that as, oh, I thought you liked it there. No, I hated it there. I felt like it was a tiny white room that is supposed to be for two people. It barely fit me in it. I remember that, like, anybody who was there with me had to move around just for the cleaning people just to get the whole room because it was a tiny little room. I was next to a window, so that was nice. And I could see out, but you couldn't really see in from the other side. So there was that. But then there's it's a tiny white room meant for two people. Luckily, it was just me. I guess the perks of immunodeficiency. And this big white door, like the ones you see when they put people in solitary confinement in the prisons and shows. And all it had was, that little square window, which every now and then I'd see someone like peep through. But otherwise, like, I'd push my call button, and by the time they got there, I forgot what I even wanted. Anyways, so I wasn't able to really film or give updates then. And then being there, my care got messed up and everything, and more fluid built on my body, and I ended up with an infection in my lines again, my Hickman and my catheter. So they transferred me back here, and I had to get the surgeries done for that. And obviously after surgery, you're tired, you're not in a filming mood. And so I had the infection and surgeries, and on top of it, I was sick. Like, I had a cold sick, and I was coughing, and I was very weak. And, the fluid had built up so much that I couldn't lift either of my arms anymore. I pretty much had my dinosaur arms, and that was it. And even then, that was painful. And then they came and they said, hey, we're going to take you to ICU. And I said, okay. And so I went to text my mom that I was in ICU. And before I could even do that, they said, hey, we have to intubate you. Before this, I had had a bronchoscopy, which is like a colonoscopy, except it's a tube that goes down your throat, and it looks at your lungs and stuff. And I guess it kind of just stirred up all of the bad stuff that was in my chest. And it turned out that the blood infection that was in my line and stuff was now in my lung. So they had to intubate me, which is where they put a breathing tube down my throat, and they put me on this, I forget what it was called, but it's like 24/7 dialysis. To me, it felt like 2 days. It was I think I was in ICU about a week. Like I said, just like comfortably in a medicated coma, medicated induced coma. Sorry, apparently I can't speak English either. And then they woke me up the day they were going to take it out. And because you have to be awake when they take it out. They took it out. I coughed like twice. And then I was pretty much fine for the most part. I was back in the normal peds floor the next day. And but I was in a lot of pain. Just excruciating pain anywhere. My baths, I needed 3 nurses to help me. And by the time we were done, every time I was just in tears from how much it hurt. And they had put an IV in my left arm while I was intubated. And because it was just resting against my side all that time, it created a sort of blood blister. And right there, and for some reason, the spot on the back of my left leg, like right below the knee on the back, which didn't have a blister or a bruise or anything, felt like a sunburn. And this one, it was easy to at least ice it. The one on my leg, not so easy to tuck an ice pack under there. So it was really bad. And I remember Easter morning, I was miserable. I was in tears. I felt like such a burden to the nurses because it took 3 nurses to do my bath, and they were very busy that night and short-staffed as it was. I was in pain. I was upset. I was absolutely miserable and absolutely positive that it was going to be the worst Easter ever. And then 10 o'clock came around, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to take a nap. Maybe I'll feel better after. I jokingly have been calling it my resurrection nap because when I woke up, the way the light, it was about 1 o'clock, the way the light was shining into the room and stuff, I was so like, it was one of those good nap. Like I woke up, I was like, where am I? What time is it? Did I do my bath this morning? Did I sleep in? I can't remember. Like I felt, I didn't hurt. The spots didn't burn anymore. It just, I literally, for a long time before I went to ICU and stuff, I had this hoarseness in my voice. that was like a croaky kind of sound and that I couldn't get rid of. Gone. Yeah, my numbers are excellent. Like, I literally woke up a whole new person. So that was my little resurrection app. And then around then was when I started to kind of get myself back into a routine, back onto my schedule, and sorry, I'm just reading what I wrote here to see if I'm missing anything. No. Okay. But I literally woke up a whole new person, and it feels, like I said, my numbers have been doing better than they have in a long time. My doctors say that I'm looking better. I lost 20 pounds of fluid in ICU on that constant dialysis. When I went in, I weighed at 118, I think they do milligrams. And when I came back, I was 108. So that's like 20 pounds of fluid. And you can see it. Like, if you look at my last video, my face was rounder. My hands were more swollen. They're still a little swollen, but they're not nearly what they were before. Like, my left arm was like as hard as a rock. My thighs were, it was bad. But now, like, my legs have been healing really well. I've been doing really good, especially with PT. Twice this week, I was able to sit up at the edge of the bed for 15 minutes without being tired, and I'm able to, like, stretch myself. And that was kind of the hard part coming out of ICU, too, because when you're just laying down like that, your body kind of forgets how to use a lot of muscles. So for a while there, it was hard, like, just to hold my head up because it felt so heavy, like it kept dropping, which is another reason why this video got a little bit delayed, because I wanted to do it closer to Easter, but I couldn't hold my head up long enough to really do a video. But that's kind of pretty much my update. I'm back at City of Hope. Like I said, I don't want to delve too much into the whole kindred thing, because I was so miserable there. I couldn't see my little brother. It was too much. And now, like, I feel better overall. I feel stronger. I'm telling you, that nap I took changed everything. So, I know this video is a little bit shorter than what you're used to, but mostly it's just to kind of do a quick little update, get back into writing my scripts, writing my story, and hopefully uploading more, trying different intros and stuff like that. Bear with me. But like I said, this is a great family thing, and honestly, this was a great, like, test of faith, I think. You know, and even now, because right now I'm having some issues. My insurance dropped me, and I don't know why. My Social Security got shorted because there's certain paperwork that hasn't gone through. Like, it's very stressful, and it sucks because my birthday's coming up soon, and it's like, this should be a happy time, not a stressful time. And, honestly, even though it's a stressful situation, I don't feel that stressed by it. I did it first, but then I prayed, and I said, God, I give you my anxieties, I give you my worries, and I lay this situation at your feet, fully trusting you with the outcome. Because I feel like that's the best way to get through it. Stressing about it and worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, or just being built up with worry, it's no good for the heart, it's no good for the soul, and you gotta have your basic plan. You gotta have your maintenance plan, be in the Bible, gather with each other, pray, and you gotta have your rescue plan. Find someone to pray with you. Take a verse that's comforting, a memory verse, and I think with those things, it really helps so that when faced with a trial, when faced with a mountain, it's not, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, this is so stressful, I can't. I'm getting gray hairs because of, instead of that, it's just like, you know what? I'm going to receive God's grace, and I'm going to approach this with God's grace, and I'm going to trust Him. I'm going to give it to Him, and that's that. There's not much more to say about that. And even the time at Kindred, it was interesting because when I was at Kindred, my Bible studies were in the morning that I watch were actually a lot about Paul in prison and how he kept his faith and he held on to it, and then the angel brought him out, and like nobody even saw him. And I'm like, well, in a way, the infection was my angel. As twisted as that sounds. But yeah, I'm gonna try to start really getting into what I made this channel to do, I have some fun ideas like pet peeves and stuff like that, but really getting into the meat of the experience of having cancer. And you know what? It's different for everybody. But I feel the more I share, the more people can learn about it. Because there's so much I've learned in these past 5-6 years that I never would have known had I not gotten cancer. And there's a lot of changes, life changes, that I've made that I'm not sure I would have made had I not gotten cancer. In a way, I'm actually sort of grateful for it. And I'll do an episode that dives into that more. Maybe that'll be my next episode. But for now, this is a quick update and just to get something up. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.